In the last video, we created a landmass in Adobe Photoshop using the filter clouds uh, function. In this video, we're going to add color to that landmass so that it's starting to look more like a map. So when we're happy with our landmass, the first thing that we want to do is combine our layers. And we do that by selecting our top layer, which for us is layer 2, holding down the shift key and then clicking the threshold layer and layer 1 in our layers panel. Then we're going to right click so this pop-up box appears. We're going to scroll down to the merge layers option. So now all we have is our background and our layer 2. In order to add color to the map, we need to select the white portion of our landmass. And the way that we do that is we go to the channels panel. We hold down the command key, and as you can see on my mouse, a little icon has popped up with a like square with a dotted line border. We're going to click on the thumbnail of one of these channels, and when we do that, you can see that we get a dotted line moving about our landmass here, kind of like an ants marching sort of selected line. So once we've selected that thumbnail, we're going to go back to the layers panel and we are going to add color to our land. So we need to add a new layer above layer 2. So we have that layer 3 and it's blank. We're going to click on our color palette here, and I am going to use the color 92985D because I want a nice dark green for my antique map. When I have that color, I'm going to hit enter. My color is selected. Now what I do is hit Command and Delete, and it fills my landmass, my white landmass, with that green color. To deselect from my landmass, I'm going to click Command D, and now I have a nice landmass, which you can see where my brush strokes were a little less than perfect here on the outside, but that's okay. We can probably be able to cover that up. Once we've added color to our map, we're going to delete our second layer. So this is the layer where we added that threshold and we created sort of this border around it. We no longer need that. We want our landmass to be directly on our background. So we're just going to select layer 2 and we are going to delete it. So now I have my landmass on top of a white background. Next thing we're going to do is add a color to our background. So I'm going to make sure that my background layer is selected. I'm going to double click on my color palette, and for my background I want to use a parchment color because I don't want to directly put my land on the water. I want it to look like it's printed on a piece of parchment or paper. So I'm going to use the color E3, E2, C8, and that's going to be my nice paper, old antique paper color. Once again, I'm going to hit enter and then Command Delete to accidentally fill in my entire canvas with the green. That's okay. That's okay. I'm gonna undo that using Control Z. And actually the first thing that I need to do is switch my color palette. And so now if I hit Command D, it'll fill with my parchment color. So here we are, learning as we go. The next thing that I want to do is add a layer above my background where I'm going to put water. So I'm going to add a new layer. It's going to say layer 4, and I'm going to fill this entire layer with blue. So my blue is going to be a color called 83AAB1. This is going to be the color that I use for my C. So again, I've typed in the color, I can see my new color palette, I'm going to hit enter. Now I'm not going to make the same mistake again, and I am going to flip my color palette so that when I hit Command D, I actually get the blue color instead of that parchment. Now it seems that we just completely covered up our background of that parchment color. So we want to edit our layer so that we can see the parchment. We are going to add a layer mask to our canvas. And to add a layer mask, we are going to click this icon down at the bottom with like the clear circle. We have our layer mask, and we are going to take our brush tool. We are going to set the opacity to 30%. And we are going to brush the edges of our canvas. It's a little bit too hard, actually. We're going to change our brush to a little bit softer brush. And we're just going to brush the edge of our canvas so that that parchment color shows through a little more. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so I can do this with fewer swipes. So as you can see, that parchment color is starting to show through the blue of my background. Just brushing around the edges of my map. I'm not being very careful to be even because if it's antique, the fading is not going to be even at all. So I don't have to be perfect. I can kind of have these jagged edges, uneven edges, and that is totally okay.